Dear graduates, before I really get going on my address to the class of 2021, I would like to take a minute to thank a number of people. I would like to thank all of those who have had an active role in once again ensuring that the students of Strathmore High School had a graduation event and a recognition ceremony today. Some particular thank yous go out to our grad coordinators, Ms. Williams and Ms. Roberts for planning and preparing the day, Ms. Riley for compiling and creating the senior superlatives, Mr. Laszlo and his promotion team for all the time that they have dedicated to making and posting videos throughout the whole COVID experience, and for putting together all of the graduate student animations, especially Jayla Robertson for your many hours of work. Finally, I would like to thank the parents and families of the graduates who have had an amazing amount of patience and understanding with us as we have navigated through the past 15 months. We hope today has created another memorable set of moments for the graduating class of 2021. Well, what a school year this has been. From the very start, this school year has been under a cloud. Learning this year took place not only in classrooms, but in bedrooms, kitchens, on back porches, patios, and in parking lots, or wherever the Wi-Fi signal was strongest. When we were fortunate enough to have classes in person, the experience was masked and distanced, tracked and traced, and we were always just the next positive test away from being sent home. Anxiety was a constant for students, teachers, staff, and even administrators. Yet through all of this, there has been a perseverance, a determination, and an absolute will to succeed and to have a year that will certainly never be forgotten. As like most years, when I began to prepare my speech, I turned to the internet for some inspiration and wisdom to share with this year's class. But what I found instead was an article that had interviewed various valedictorians from across the United States. As I read the article, I became inspired to sit down and meet and talk with some of this year's graduating class, and to try and get some ideas about what they have felt and experienced during this unprecedented year. What I came to realize was the effect this year had on so many of you was not nearly as sad or depressing as I had allowed myself to believe. It was clear that with each that I interviewed, I gained more of an understanding of the sense of appreciation that you all had acquired during the past 15 months. An appreciation for time spent with family, time with friends, for the many opportunities that we had taken for granted. Things such as sports, band concerts, drama productions, and simply for social interactions that could occur without a screen. As a result, this appreciation has created a genuine caring and connection that many of us feared was being lost by this generation. Another common theme that really emerged in the interviews was one of commitment and focus. Many of the students commented that they feel more prepared for what is ahead as a result of having to become more self-motivated and more self-disciplined, and that a new work ethic has emerged as a result of the necessity to work independently. The other really common message that came from almost everyone that I interviewed was that although the teachers did an awesome job making online learning as good and as fun as possible, it was certainly no replacement for how valuable the in-person learning was and how much the students missed being at school and in classrooms for their learning. I recently read an inspirational message from the author John Gordon that said, "Every challenge is an opportunity. In order to grow, we have to take our mess and make it our message. We have to transform our tests into our testimony. We have to take every challenge in our lives and use them to create a better future." For the grad class of 2021, it is very clear from speaking with many of you that this year was challenging, but you have found the opportunity in it, and you have grown and matured like no class before you. In listening to you, it is very apparent that although this year was a mess, that you do have a clear message, and that message is of hope, optimism, and resilience. And it is also obvious by the students that crossed our stage today and who are now prepared to take those next steps towards their future, that they have transformed their tests into their testimonies, and that they are prepared to challenge and share that with the world. And ultimately, just like this year, you will face your challenges, and head on, you will turn these challenges into opportunities that will allow you to create an even better future. As I begin to wrap up, I want to leave you each with a couple of thoughts. Expect adversity, but have an even greater expectation that you will overcome it. One of our students told me, "We've gotten through this. We can do anything." And that couldn't be more true. This past year has tested all of us in one way or another. And in many cases, graduates, we are a little better for it. Positive thinking doesn't mean you ignore the reality of the situation. It means that you have the optimism, belief, and faith to overcome the situation. Graduates of 2021, you have been a symbol of optimism this year. You have been forced to continually deal with the reality of the situation and with what that has meant for not only your daily lives, but also for your future. But through this, you have maintained a positive and optimistic view. And for this, we all stand and applaud you today. Congratulations, class of 2021.
Ladies and gentlemen, the valedictorian of the graduating class of 2021, Miss Becky Turner.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family. To my fellow graduates, congratulations. What an honor it is to be standing here today, giving the valedictorian speech to you wonderful people. It's crazy to think that we are already at the end of our high school years, and what an interesting few years they have been. I'd like to start by thanking everyone who made our graduation happen, especially Miss Williams, Miss Roberts, and Mrs. Barbatrio for their roles in organizing everything. To all of our teachers and the staff at Strathmore High School, thank you for inspiring and encouraging us all every single day. We can't thank you enough for how you've guided us through these last 3 years. To our families, thank you for putting up with and supporting us through the craziness of high school. Finally, to all of our friends who stuck by us, day by day, whether from day one of kindergarten or just through the last semester, an extra special thank you to you. We couldn't have made it here without you. On behalf of the whole graduating class, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who helped us become who we are today. From the beginning of grade 10, we have all been faced with challenge and drama and the many changes that come with being a teenager. A big part of high school is about finding out who you are. But as cliche as that sounds, it's not quite that simple. It's about stepping out of your comfort zone. A teacher once told me, before coming to SHS, that the key to growing as a person was to be uncomfortable. To be uncomfortable means that you're thinking outside the box, going against the flow, and challenging your personal boundaries. And yeah, for a pretty shy kid coming from a class of 7 in junior high to a school this big, being uncomfortable came all too easily for me. I remember being scared out of my wits the night before our first day of grade 10, but I'm happy to say that I think I overreacted a little. Mr. Sonsby once gave me the advice to stop looking at people like I thought their heads might explode if I talked to them, and I'll be honest, that probably helped. The friends I had in high school are some of the best people I've ever met. And after everything we've been through, I know I'm going to remember them for the rest of my life. We have all grown up and changed, and hopefully embraced who we are a little more. Dolly Parton once said, "Find out who you are and do it on purpose." And I think that a big part of high school and graduation is exactly that, being who we are on purpose. It can be uncomfortable to express yourself, to try new things, or to be passionate, but that's the whole point. From joining a class you'd never think you'd be interested in, to talking to the kid sitting next to you, or to getting your first job, high school is all about trying those new things. It's a time to learn, and I'm not just talking about in the classroom. I hope when we walk across the stage today, it's with a whole different perspective than the one we had when we first walked into the school. Now for the part that you all knew was coming. It's impossible to be graduating in 2021 and not mention the pandemic. So I'll go ahead and say that I think I speak for everyone when I say it's been a difficult last 16 months. COVID-19 hit us hard, and to be faced with such a strange new life was both unpredicted and, that word we're all so sick of hearing by now, completely unprecedented.
Zoom lessons just do not match up to real life classes.
However, I think it is important to acknowledge what the virus has shown us about ourselves. When we were shut in at home for months on end, we got to be creative, look after ourselves, and spend time with our families. People picked up new hobbies, watched movies over FaceTime, and met up in parking lots just to see each other's faces. Drive-by birthday parties became a thing, and when restrictions were lifted, we were more eager than ever to see people. I sat around a fire with my friends in minus 40-degree weather just to get some social interaction, so I speak from experience. Being separated from each other, as frustrating as it was, seems to have shown us just how connected we really are. We depend on each other. We've been forced to go through a lot of tragedy already. We've been faced with death, isolation, a whole new method of learning, and that's just the start of it. But the important thing to remember is that we have all been through it together. So as life begins to go back to some semblance of normal, I'd like to remind everyone of the good parts of high school, like skipping out on homework to go drive around with friends, dancing at the winter formal, getting coffee at lunch like way more times a week than was financially responsible, and let's be real, hanging out in parking lots because what else is there to do in Strathmore? As we graduate, we will be experiencing change yet again as we go to university or get real jobs, starting off into the so-called real world, but that's a part of life. You might not know where you want to end up in the future, but who does? Just as I have for the past 3 years, when you find yourself in a situation where you don't know what to do, try to remind yourself to be uncomfortable. It's how you grow. Shakespeare once wrote, "We know what we are, but not what we may be." It's true. No one knows what the future holds for us, so to look towards who we could become with hope and excitement is all one can ask for. If you all take one thing away from your years here at SHS, I hope that it's confidence in yourself as you embrace your future and succeed in all the ways I know you are capable of. Congratulations to the class of 2021.